So welcome everybody and welcome back to episode 2 of Clubhouse Miles. I'm Rosie.
I'm George.
And this week we've got a bit of an upgrade and we are in Up and Running Teddington. So Up and Running is a chain of running shops up and down the country, and they very kindly allowed us to film in store, and we'll give you a bit of a tour around the store as the podcast goes on. You get some clips and stuff. Insert here, George, maybe.
Yeah.
But they offer a whole load of services. You can do a gait analysis, get some shoes, some kit. So yeah, pop down. The staff in Up and Running are very, very friendly. So yeah, and they've been kind enough to let us sit on their comfy chairs and sofa this week.
And they've got these New Balance cushions that I'm very fond of. Maybe I'll nick one.
I'm not sure they'd be too pleased with that. So this week we've got a few things lined up. But firstly, the news of the World Champs bid for London came out, and all the athletes, I think there's 108 different athletes, are backing the bid, and they've called on the Prime Minister to do that as well. George, what do you think about that?
Yeah, because it's not just current athletes either, is it? It's a lot of big dogs in the game, like Jess Ennis-Hill, Mo Farah, I think, signed it as well, and Keely Hodgkinson, obviously. I mean, I think it'll be great for the sport. However, in Britain we have a financial problem, and I do worry. I do worry about British athletics. Obviously, it's got British athletics. They obviously want to take it on because some of those members that work in British athletics have signed that. However, I really don't know whether we will lose money on it or make money. I think a big problem that the London Diamond League has, like, we know that every year they kind of make a loss on that. There's a lot of expenditure there. We've got the Commonwealth's coming up, and we've also got the European Championships coming up in Birmingham and Glasgow, respectively. So I think it's going to be hard. I'd like to see it work out, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's 2029, so as long as the commies and the Europeans go well, then I think it'll be a great springboard. But we've seen a lot of athletics bodies, even with the Commonwealth Games itself, they've decided that in Australia they couldn't host it, so that's why it's moved to Glasgow. So yeah, I think it would be good. It'll be good for the sport, good for British people to get inspired again. But I think there needs to be, I would like to see like a solid plan and how they're actually going to profit from it, because yeah, it's a hard one.
Yeah, it is. I think when you look at the London Diamond League, of course, it's a single day event, and obviously when you transition that to World, is it going to just be a blueprint that's looked at 10 times over? Of course, you've got morning and evening sessions, you've got 10 days worth of events essentially. If you look at the Tokyo plan going on for this September, it's an extended period, is the World Champs. So it is going to be interesting. Of course, the London Diamond League wouldn't attract as much tourism as anything else. So if you've got the World Champs, the international tourism is going to be much higher. So that could help boost profits potentially. But of course, last time the World Champs was staged here was 2017. We had Mo Farah winning gold. Usain Bolt had his swan song. It was his retirement party, essentially. It was his final race ever. So I do think it would be nice to have it back in London. And I think from a spectator point of view, obviously we've got to think about the financials, the logistics, and all the governing bodies. But from a spectator fan perspective, I think it could be really important to have the World Championships back in London again.
Yeah, I think there's obviously the part that it will be basically recreating again London 2012, just the athletics part of it, and I think that is really important for now young people who won't even remember 2012 because they were born after 2012. Which surprises me every time when I realise that some people I know are actually born way after London 2012. So I think as well, like, London 2012 is great, but those people have missed out on that, and I think it will be good to kind of recreate that memory for us nostalgically, but then also to inspire another generation of young kids coming through.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and that is one of the selling points in this open letter that all the athletes have written to our Prime Minister, is that they say basically it's so important for this generation to experience a home games or a home championships, And realistically, having the Olympics in London again would be incredible, but it's probably not going to happen for some time. And there'll be plenty of athletes that go through their entire career, and that won't occur again. Home Games is a once in a generation opportunity, isn't it? Really, it's not something that comes around very often. So, if we have the opportunity to have it back in London for the championships, I think it's really important that we do. If they can find that way to make it financially viable, of course, that kind of trumps everything. Being able to make it stable, but it is really important, and I think that is epitomised. The letter ends with "We're ready. We hope you are too," and that, I think, just summarises the passion, the intensity, and the desire. Like, London and Britain put on a fantastic show when we have international athletics. We know how to do global championships. London still is considered the best Olympics in history because of the show that we put on. We've had Rio, Tokyo, and Paris since, all of which were very impressive in their own right, but something, probably a little bit biased, but something about London was just so special.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, obviously Tokyo was kind of ruined because of COVID and stuff. So I can't wait to see this year's World Athletics Championships held in Tokyo.
Yeah.
They get to basically relive their experience that was basically ruined by the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think it'll be really interesting to see everything in action there, because I remember just watching it on TV, and then they were like playing crowd music or like crowd noises through the speakers to empty stadiums. So yeah, I think it'll be good to see how Tokyo goes anyway this summer. And I think I would like to know what you're most looking forward to at Tokyo. What rivalry are you looking at?
So the rivalries on the tip of your tongue has always got to be at 1500 metres. You've got Kerr, Ingebrigtsen. The others that are involved, it's good, but realistically, it's all about those two, isn't it? They are the ones that are taking jabs at each other. We saw Josh Kerr bringing out a bit of a jab at Ingebrigtsen a few days ago. Grand Slam, of course, has just happened the weekend just gone, so obviously it'll be a little bit longer when this is released. But at the time of filming, Grand Slam was last weekend. And Josh Kerr was shown a clip with an athlete blurred out, and he was asked who's the athlete, and he goes, "Oh, I think it's the one that finished fourth in the Olympic 1500 metre final." And of course that was Jakob, so he was just kind of swiftly just reminding everybody that Jakob didn't win that gold in Paris. And that has reignited that rivalry a little bit, and interesting to see that I think Jakob's kind of he's just vibing, he's pretty chill, he's just happy in his own little world, but his wife popped up and commented on it, saying, "Oh, waiting for the day that this man can do an interview without mentioning Jakob." And I thought that was quite funny. So this rivalry is clearly expanding.
Yeah, and I think you can't sleep on Cole Hocker either. Like, everyone does. No one expects.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like, no one really expected him to win, but that guy can kick, and he can outkick quite a lot of people. And I think it's important to realise that they're trying to. I feel like Josh Kerr is trying to make him and Jakob big rivals. But
yes, they're the vocal pair, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
The others are very much involved in the race. It's those two are the ones that are, outspoken, and they have the spotlight on them a lot more. Yeah,
exactly. And I think I'm really excited to see Ollie Hoare.
Yeah.
The winner of the MC Car Mile last year at the London Diamond League. I want to see how he does this summer, because he had a lot of injury last summer, and obviously at the Olympics, I don't think he even got into the final in the end, just because of all the issues that was going on, because after the London Diamond League he had to pull out of some other stuff, so it would be interesting to see how he does. Now he's back from injury and he's training well, training with the On Group out in Boulder, Colorado, and I think it would be great to see more names kind of in the mix. Obviously Ollie Hoare trains with Yared Naguse, third place at the Olympics as well, so I think there's the 1500s is definitely a very exciting event at the moment, but then obviously you can't forget the women's 800. We are stacked in England. We've got Keely Hodgkinson, we've got Phoebe Gill, both very young still.
Yeah.
I always have to remind myself that Keely Hodgkinson's 23 now.
Yeah.
And then obviously Phoebe Gill's 18, 19.
Yeah.
And then we've got Izzy Boffey, Aaron Wallace. The list goes on basically, and I think most of them train together under the M11 track club, and I think what they're doing is really good. Trevor Painter and Jenny Meadows, their group is just expanding in that middle distance area. So obviously this is it the weekend where this will be released. We're coming up to the 10,000 metre British Championships, aren't we? On the 14th.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Okay.
But anyway, I would really be interested to see how that is going to be played out, because obviously all the time it's at night at 10,000 PBs. We have loads of fireworks going off, loads of international fields get involved whilst the British Championship is on, and a lot of people get pulled to really great times. But it's going to be interesting, I think, what Birmingham's going to show for it. It's going to be at the Birmingham University track. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, it's a real shame that Night of 10Ks isn't happening this year, because from a spectator point of view, the amount that it does attract is so fun, isn't it? And they are having a very well-deserved break, and you can't blame the organisers at all for wanting a year off. They have worked tirelessly over the last few years to grow the event into what it is. So absolutely so fair that they're having this kind of year as a down period for a little bit, especially when we've got nothing major on the horizon, in the sense of, like, the Olympics we're at the start of a new cycle. Things are in a bit of a lull right now. We have less championships this year than we've had last season, so people are not going to need qualification times so early on in the season. They can probably push on a little bit later than May. But it is a shame that it's not happening, and I look forward to it coming back next year. Birmingham, I'll be intrigued to see if they have the facilities to live up to the performance that Night of 10K puts on, and almost if they want to, because maybe it's something that you just shouldn't try to replicate. Make it your own. It's a different event, so let's have it as a different event this year. Yes, it's incorporating the UK champs. That's great. But maybe it's best that they don't try and replicate Night of 10,000s, because that is so special that night. And it's taken years to grow it into what it is, to have the circus performers that come around the track, to have the brands there, to have the climbing wall and all that type of thing, the freebies that are given out. And maybe that should just stay special to the Night of the 10Ks. But nonetheless, Birmingham put on a fantastic BMC every year. They have their own open track series that runs through the summer. They have a winter one as well that comes in at the very start of the track season, that kind of around March time, I think. So they know how to stage events, most definitely. We just need to see if they're kind of going to put any more oomph behind it to attract those bigger fields, because like you say, George, the Night of the 10Ks has some big hitters in every year because it's such a big event. Yeah,
for sure. And I think we really need to highlight that actually Night of 10Ks is organised pretty much by one person.
Yeah.
One person only, Ben Pochi from Highgate Harriers. He and a team of volunteers, and that's it.
Yeah.
That is pretty much it. And the volunteers really, they help set up ahead of the day. They help marshalling in the event. They help with security, videography, photography, and all of the sponsors that go into that as well. They are the ones funding it. Ben always tries to make it non-for-profit. He makes no profit at all. And I think just sometimes, like, you do need a break, and especially when you're a one-man band like Ben is, it's important to just, take a step back and review and then make the next one better. And when I was talking to him recently, he actually said that he would like to see more people get on board with helping him organise, because it is such an arduous task organising that massive event. There's about 10 races on, and then they also have started incorporating junior races as well. Like, having all those races on in one night, and you're organising all of that yourself, especially alongside the festival stuff, the fireworks, all the pyrotechnics, the infield climbing wall, all of that is pretty much just him organising it, and he is running around like a headless chicken every year. Whenever I see him, I get to say hi to him for probably about 5 seconds before I start doing some videography for them and stuff, and then that's it. I don't see him until probably a couple of weeks later at the Highgate track when he's kind of calmed down. But he does now live in Cornwall, so also there's a part there where he organises it all from down there, and then he comes up, stays in a hotel for a week, and then he's back down in Cornwall. And I think it's just great that how committed he is as a person to the club. He's always there at the relay races, always cheering everyone on, and he is someone that he doesn't need like fuel. He is 10 million miles an hour every day whenever you see him, and I think he needs this year just to have a relax and review all of his achievements so far and kind of look forward to the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we say, it's a very well-deserved break. But I am excited for it to come back next year. 2026, I'm sure, will be huge. And there'll be a lot of people that are so excited to have it back. I think the break, if anything, is going to make it even more exciting for the spectators because they'll have missed it. They'll have a new appreciation for the event. But whilst we stay on the topic of spectators and loving the sport and getting a bit more excitement in the sport, which Night of the 10Ks obviously does so well, over in America, news has broken about a high school athlete, Clara Adams, who has been disqualified from her state championships after winning the 400 metres because of her celebration. So her celebration was reminiscent of, I think it's Maurice Green, the two-time Olympic champion from Sydney. In 2004, he won, I think it was a 100-metre race. He took his spikes off afterwards and got a fire extinguisher because he was on fire. He was running so fast. Now, Clara recreated that celebration after winning the state title with her coach, who is also her dad, handing her a fire extinguisher to spray on her feet after she won the race. She was then disqualified. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that, George, because is that type of celebration, the reason cited was it was disrespectful to her competitors. But is that type of celebration something that we need more of in athletics to light the fire?
Yeah, so I actually watched an interview on this, and I saw the clip, and I'll play the clip over if you're watching on YouTube. And the canister is literally handheld size. It's not a massive fire extinguisher that you see in a normal shop. Like, she's not lugging this massive thing around. It's just a small handheld one. And it's almost like getting a can of deodorant and spraying it on your shoes. Like, I saw there's nothing harmful in it. She didn't do it on the track. She did it on the infield away from her competitors. And just kind of like, it was just a good celebration. And apparently, from an interview that I heard with her dad, the dad said that the athletics governing body behind her was like clapping them on the back and saying, "Oh, that's such a great celebration! Like, you're going to bring excitement to the sport." It's great to see like young competitors getting involved and kind of like making it more exciting and more accessible and kind of like cool social media-y sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's the actual governing body members that are on the infield that disqualify her because they saw it as disrespectful to the other competitors. Now, I don't think there was any disrespect there at all. She had already kind of high-fived and like congratulated the other members of the team that were racing and stuff. I don't see there was any problem with going over to your dad. You get a little fire extinguisher and spray it on your shoes. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think this is where we, as athletics fans, get really annoyed because you're always trying to push the sport forward and create new things, make it accessible for more people to watch. And then they just want to be stuck back in the old days and not have any of this happen. Like, this is a serious sport, and I don't think sport should be really serious. Like, yes, take it seriously for when you're competing at a really high level and when you're racing, but then afterwards we have this space where there's nothing afterwards. Like, we want to continue the hype around the sport, and stuff like this does that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We see a bit of showboating going on, and especially in the sprints, don't we? Noah Lyles, for example, he loves playing up to the camera a little bit, gives it all of his celebrations and bigging himself up beforehand. And I think it's really great to see that filtering down. Obviously, if you look at other sports, like take football, for example, you see these players impacting the younger kids, whether it's like age groups of under 9, under 11, under whatever it might be, even through to the academies. You see how their celebrations and things impact the players filtering down. And I think it highlights kind of the ability to kind of idolise other greats in the sport, which is a true appreciation for the history in your sport anyway, which is quite important in my opinion. But also, yeah, having that kind of showboaty, showmanship quality adds that excitement that athletics does get criticised for lacking. So why are we trying to hold it back? Of course, athletics is quite a prim and proper sport in a lot of ways. People often say, like, we're very traditional, We like things how we do them. But if we're already embracing these rivalries and the showmanship at the top level, why are we not embracing it down at state championships over in America, or if that was here in county championships, regional championships, national championships, etc. Like, I think it's really important that we do allow that enjoyment to come through, because realistically, it's a show of passion. And if you're not allowed to show how passionate about your sport you are, why are you doing it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think you've just hit the nail on the head there. There's no reason why she shouldn't be allowed to do it. She also said that Maurice Green's one of her heroes. Like, she was just trying to pay homage to him. And when you're trying to do that to one of your heroes, it's probably the most greatest bit of respect that you could do. And she's just done it after winning a race. But also, they didn't just disqualify her from that race itself. It meant that she wasn't able to race the rest of her races that she had planned. I think she was going to take part in a relay and also the 200.
Yeah.
And it didn't just affect her in the end. It ended up affecting her teammates, but also she's a good 200 metre runner. It affected her there as well. Like, if you're holding this back at high school level, then what do you expect to happen at college level and at worldwide level? Like, Kerr's not getting disqualified from an event for showboating after he wins.
No, absolutely not. And that, I would argue, is much closer to his competitors. He doesn't move off the track to go and celebrate. And I'm not saying that that's disrespectful or not, but the point being that Clara Adams did move off the track. She came away from her competitors. Like you say, there was nothing disrespectful about that. She was out the way and she had her moment. And as you say, you've watched the interviews, George. She's very upset by this. She's clearly worked incredibly hard for this title. It was obviously something that's been a huge target for her in the season. And she nailed it. And we all know how special and important it is to you when you finally get something that you've been working for. So to get it, have it in the palm of your hand, essentially do nothing wrong, and then have it ripped from you, it's got to be incredibly painful. And I do really feel for her.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, you have to think about, is she going to college? Is she going to be pursuing running? This is probably a big knock to her confidence, but also because if the people who are recruiting her don't see the context behind why she was disqualified, then they could just think, oh, it was a lane infringement, and then she's disqualified. She doesn't get recruited because this has happened to her.
Or even if they see the reason and not the video itself, they can see, well, she was disqualified for being disrespectful. That's not going to be appealing to college recruiters. They're obviously going to want athletes that are respectful team players, and honestly, it appears that she is. So I can only hope for her sake that any recruiters that do find out about her disqualification see the video alongside it and see that, in fact, it was probably a very harsh call from the California Interscholastic Federation, I believe it was, the CIF, that did disqualify her.
Yeah.
Because it was very harsh, I think. So moving on then from high school sport and the rivalries and things that we've seen, but staying over in the States, I hear there is a potential American marathon record attempt, George.
Yeah, so it's Conor Mantz. He's going for 2:05, I want to say 38 is the current record. Now, he's actually run the American record, but it didn't count because he ran it in Boston, and there's a lot of net downhill in Boston. Obviously, you have some uphills as well, but because of the net downhill, the 2:05, that pretty much 2:05 flat that he ran, didn't count. So he's going back, and he is going to go for that full American record at Chicago. It's a flat course. We've had records there before. Kelvin Kipson's world record is still held from there, and I believe Safan Hassan ran really well there as well that same year that Kelvin Kipson ran there. So I just think that this guy, he's always been told when he was at BYU that he's going to be a marathon runner. He stayed with his college coach, so he still trains in Salt Lake City where they're based, and I just think this guy he's another level. Like, if you've ever seen him race, the pain on his face, you start seeing pain at like 5k. Well, he's just grimacing the whole way, but he just doesn't stop, and he is unrelenting. And I genuinely think he could probably break it by at least 2 minutes. He said to himself on a good day he could probably run 2:02, and I think he's right. Like, if he gets the build right, he can go really far, because he was injured up to the half marathon record that he set, and he was literally cross training, but he couldn't use his legs because it was a quad issue, so he couldn't cycle or anything, and he was just cross training with his arms.
That's really quite impressive.
Yeah. No, obviously he has all the running base behind him.
Well, of course, yeah.
And
but to be able to withhold your cardiovascular fitness while just getting your heart rate up, that's a pretty tricky challenge.
Yeah, because it was on one of those bikes, the it's got a big fan.
The assault bikes.
Yeah, the assault bike.
Yeah.
And he literally just couldn't use his right or left leg, wherever the quad issue was, and he literally just maintained his fitness just by doing that. And you can see the videos on his YouTube channel, and he looks in a world of pain doing them, but to be able to do that is crazy. That he also then ended up finishing top 10 at the Olympics, and I think his training partner Clayton Young has come such a long way, and he could actually also help push Connor, whether it's pace him to a certain distance or just race against him. I think it would be great to see that it's now definitely confirmed that it's going to be at Chicago this winter, and I'm just excited to see what he does, because this guy is insane. And I think there's a lot of marathon runners out there. You see the Kenyans, you see the East Africans, like all of them, amazing contingent in their own right. But to see someone that's American or kind of even English, like we have Alex Yee, who just ran amazingly well at London. I'd like to see him do another one. But just to see someone from the West hit such a massive barrier, like breaking 205 is absolutely insane. Obviously we have Emil Caress. I can't wait to see him race when he finally gets to race again, but it's gonna be really interesting for sure, and I'd like to see Emil do well this winter as well, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I think we know the potential he's got. We've seen some next level performances, so I think on the British side, to wait and see what Emil can pull out the bag on his next race is going to be really intriguing. I think the athletics world will kind of be glued to it when they figure out that he's lining up. There's going to be a lot of attention on that, I think, because we know that he's a big talent, and we've not seen him for a while. So very intrigued to see what happens next. Of course, he pulled out of London this year, didn't he? He was supposed to be in the elite field, wasn't ready for it, wasn't the time, and definitely a lot of anticipation.
Yeah, so for London he was actually injured, and he was going to aim for that 2:06 qualification mark for the Tokyo World Athletics Championships. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they just select him regardless. He's run close enough to the time, and he is medal potential. I mean, he finished 4th at the Olympic Games, and if you're finishing 4th at the Olympic Games, I think your governing body should be like, you know what, we'll let you in.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other topic, isn't it? We'll I'm sure we'll explore that in another podcast about the selection policies that British athletics have employed in recent years when it comes to championships and major games and things like that. But you would like to think that they would give him benefit of the doubt here, and it's not even benefit of doubt, is it? He has a proven track record. His ability is known to us all. So hopefully we get to see him out in Tokyo. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think as well, like, if you look at Emil's race in Paris, that course was like absolutely abominable. It wasn't. It was built to break you. Yeah. And he still ran amazingly well, amazingly fast, and he wasn't that far off 3rd place. So I think British athletics would be absolutely stupid not to send him. But obviously it depends whether he's fit enough, and whether he actually wants to do that or wait for a winter major champion. Yeah,
of course, it has to line up properly for him as well, personally, doesn't it? But we can keep everything crossed, fingers and toes and everything, in hope that we get to see him in action in September.
So I've heard, Rosie, that you've been trying out a new shoe. We touched on in the last episode.
We did.
The New Balance 1080s.
The New Balance 1080s are a long-time favourite of mine, and I've heard mixed reviews about the 1080 V14, so this Fresh Foam X 1080 V14. I've loved the 1080 series for so long. However, the V14 is a little bit firmer, there's a little bit more stability in it, and I've heard people say it makes their feet quite hot, despite it supposedly having a very breathable upper. So when I bought them, I was a little bit apprehensive, but I have to say, 3 or 4 runs in, I absolutely love them. People saying that they're a bit too firm or they're a bit too structured, and I actually completely disagree. And of course, running shoes are a very personal thing, aren't they? They are very much for your preference, what suits you, what suits your gait analysis, all that kind of thing. But I think the little bit of extra structure is very helpful. It's taken a little bit of time for my feet to adjust to it, perhaps. I've had a few aches and things just from running probably in a slightly better form and a slightly more supported form. But as they've been worn in a little bit and I've got used to them, I think they're a fantastic shoe. They're a really nice soft ride. You can tell they're a little bit firmer than the V13 perhaps, but they're still very, very plush, very cushioned. So on my expert opinion, I highly recommend to anyone that enjoyed the previous iterations of the 1080 and that likes a relatively neutral shoe. I think they're a fantastic option for your steady runs.
Yeah, so what sort of price point are they at?
So they are, I believe, at £160, which is the same as the previous version. And I think that's pretty standard now for most of your steady running shoes, that you can get a lot of miles through the 1080. They're very durable. I've never had any issues with them breaking down particularly quickly. Some shoes, you get like the sole coming away from the upper a little bit, the glue starts to deteriorate or some holes appear in the toes perhaps. I've never had any issues like that with the 1080. I think they're a very durable shoe, very well made, and the price point of £160 personally is something that I think is more than fair.
If you want to try out some shoes, obviously we're here at Up and Running, so it would be great to come down. If you're anywhere across the country, they have loads of branches, especially in Teddington as well. If you come down here, the team are great, and they can definitely give you some great advice on shoes. But obviously Rosie's pick for this week is the New Balance 1080s.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually bought them from here as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I came in store, tried them on, had a bit of conversation with the staff in here who are incredibly knowledgeable about all the shoes that they have in store. They've got a nice range of different New Balance shoes. Adidas have a bit of a look around. We've got Saucony, Puma, Brooks, plenty of different options for you in store. So definitely do head over to Up and Running if you are unsure on what you might want to try out. There's plenty of different options for you and lots of different ranges within those brands as well as a whole load of kit from them as well. So if you want to pick up a t-shirt or a vest, you know where to go. But George, I hear you've tried a new shoe recently as well.
Yeah, I have the Adidas Boston 13s. They've just come out. I've been testing them out on the roads, and I have to say the bounce on them is crazy. They're more of a steady to tempo kind of running pace shoe. But where I've been training for marathons and stuff, I kind of need to, for my longer, faster runs, they're absolutely great. They're really supportive as well. They've got a plastic rods in them instead of the carbon fibre ones, so you get the extra bounce, which obviously propels you forwards. And for longer runs, I feel that I finish the run. The next day I don't really have DOMs because thanks to the plastic rods in them. So yeah, I definitely think that they're a great shoe. I do have ankle problems as well, so I should really be looking at more of a supportive shoe. But I actually found that the ride that you get with the Bostons is so nice that I don't seem to get any ankle problems with them, which is great. Obviously that might change when I go on the track next week and spike up, but we'll just have to see with that one. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think something about Adidas is I always find them really interesting how they have their rods as opposed to a plate. So it's really intriguing to listen to that and hear that, and hopefully when you do spike up in the near future you avoid any issues. But spikes are always a little bit unpredictable, so I'm sure we'll cover that topic in weeks to come when the track season is in full flow.
Yeah, I definitely need to make sure on Tuesday I get on the track and just do a few reps just to make sure that my spikes are all right. I'm pretty sure they need a clean because I think the last time I wore them was in a cross-country race and I haven't cleaned them since. So they are probably like dying in my wardrobe at the moment, so better dig them out and give them a wash.
I think that's a good idea. So before we end today's show then, guys, we are, as we said, in Up and Running Teddington, and they do host their own social run group. So this goes every Tuesday. It's a 5k social run just for people in the local area. You can come down and run with some company, a nice easy 5k, a very sociable pace, accommodating for pretty much everyone, any ability. And they tend to go around Bushy Park, which is just around the corner from here. And it happens on a weekly basis with the staff here up and running, and they often incorporate it into different events as well. They have brands come down sometimes and have brand nights and different aspects like that. So if you're looking for a social run group, Up and Running Teddington hosts their social runs every Tuesday at 6:30. So do head on down, and hopefully, I'm sure at some point we'll see you there.